What happens when a Hollywood icon steps onto a late-night stage, expecting a warm chat, only to face a host bent on tearing him apart? Tonight, we're diving into a jaw-dropping moment in late-night history, where Ralph Macchio, the timeless star of The Karate Kid, clashed with Stephen Colbert in a brutal exchange that stunned audiences and sparked weeks of debate. This wasn't a simple interview gone wrong, it was a calculated attack that spiraled into chaos. Before we unpack this wild story, hit that subscribe button, and drop your thoughts in the comments on celebrity interviews that went off the rails. The Late Show with Stephen Colbert was set to celebrate 80s nostalgia. Ralph Macchio was there to promote Cobra Kai, the Netflix hit bringing his iconic Daniel LaRusso back to the spotlight. What should have been a feel-good moment turned into a nightmare nobody saw coming. From the second Ralph walked on stage, something felt off. Colbert's usual charm was absent, replaced by a cold, almost predatory vibe. Ralph, ever the professional, flashed his boyish smile and settled into the guest chair, unaware of the ambush awaiting him. "Ladies and gentlemen, Ralph Macchio," Colbert announced, his voice sharp, making the audience's applause feel forced. The Karate Kid himself, though calling yourself a kid at 62 is a stretch, isn't it? The crowd laughed nervously, but Ralph's smile flickered. "Well, Stephen, it's about the spirit of youth, not the number," he replied. "Daniel's grown up in Cobra Kai, you know." Colbert leaned back, fingers steepled. "Has he? Because I've watched the show, and Daniel seems like someone Mr. Miyagi would have been disappointed in. Entitled, aggressive, stuck in high school glory days, sound familiar?" The studio went silent, the jab far from playful. Ralph's jaw tightened, but he stayed composed. "I think you're misreading Daniel's arc, Stephen. Cobra Kai is about learning from mistakes, confronting the past, becoming better. It's mature storytelling." Colbert's laugh was cold, humorless. "Mature storytelling? Ralph, let's be honest, you've been writing one movie role for nearly 40 years. Most actors would call that a career plateau, but you've turned it into a brand. How's it feel knowing without the Karate Kid, you'd be selling insurance in New Jersey?" The audience gasped, the insult cutting deep. Camera operators hesitated, as if uneasy themselves. Ralph gripped his chair, knuckles white. "That's uncalled for, Stephen," he said, voice steady but taut with anger. "I've had a diverse career. TV, film, theater. The Karate Kid opened doors, sure, but I've worked hard to build something beyond it. Why so hostile tonight?" Colbert feigned surprise. "Hostile? I'm asking the tough questions your usual interviewers dodge, like how do you justify taking credit for a character Pat Morita's Mr. Miyagi made iconic. Without him, Daniel LaRusso would have been another forgettable 80s teen. Pat Morita was a master, on and off screen," Ralph replied, voice rising, "but suggesting I brought nothing to that role insults us both. We created something special together. I've honored that legacy my entire career." Colbert leaned forward, sensing blood. "Have you? Because it looks like you've spent decades chasing that lightning. Cobra Kai is just your latest cash grab on nostalgia. When you look in the mirror, Ralph, do you see an artist, or a brand?" The question hung like poison. Ralph sat stunned, processing the venom. The audience was dead quiet, save for a few uneasy coughs. "I see a man grateful for his opportunities," Ralph said softly, "someone who's told meaningful stories, connected with people, worked hard to keep his integrity in a tough industry. What I don't see is why you're trying to tear me down on national TV." Colbert snapped back, his civility gone. "Because someone has to. Hollywood's full of nice guys, like you getting a free pass, but scratch the surface, and it's entitlement, privilege, a refusal to admit your 15 minutes should have ended 30 years ago." Ralph stood abruptly, chair rolling back. "I don't have to take this. I came as a guest, with respect for you and your audience, and you've turned this into a personal attack. What's your problem, Stephen?" Colbert stood too, pretense abandoned. "You're what's wrong with this industry, Ralph, taking up space for fresh voices, new stories, real talent. Instead we get recycled nostalgia and actors who think they deserve respect just for showing up." Ralph fired back, composure cracking. "I've earned my place, 40 years of work, supporting my family, being professional. You're acting like a moral authority, but all I see is a bully with a platform." The tension was electric, both men face to face across the desk, the studio like a boxing ring. Audience members shifted, some eyeing exits, crew frozen, unsure whether to intervene. This was live TV at its rawest. A bully. Colbert sneered. I'm a comedian, Ralph. I make jokes. If you can't handle tough questions without melting down, stick to fan conventions. This isn't comedy, Ralph shot back, pointing. It's cruelty disguised as entertainment. You've ambushed me, attacked my career, disrespected my work. For what? Cheap laughs from people who don't know better. The confrontation escalated, lights casting harsh shadows, neither man backing down. Your real problem, Ralph, Colbert said, voice cold, is you've coasted on sympathy so long, you've forgotten what criticism feels like. You're a relic, a museum piece that escaped its case. Ralph's face flushed, but his voice stayed steady. And you're a man so desperate for relevance, you tear down guests to feel important, hiding behind your desk, pretending you're a cultural commentator, but you're just a bitter comedian who peaked years ago. The audience gasped, shocked by Ralph's precision, the polite Karate Kid star landing a brutal blow. Peaked. Colbert's laugh was forced, ugly. I have a nightly show, millions of viewers, Emmy nominations, cultural influence. What do you have, Ralph? A Netflix series trading on nostalgia, a fanbase that won't grow up. I have respect, Ralph countered, admiration from peers, love from my family, the knowledge I've never torn someone down to lift myself up. Can you say that when you look in the mirror, Stephen? Are you proud of what you've become? Colbert flinched, vulnerability flickering before his sneer returned. Spare me the moral superiority. You've sold the same tired martial arts story for decades. At least I create new content nightly. New content. Ralph's voice rose in disbelief. You read jokes off cue cards, interview celebrities, don't act like you're an innovator, and don't diminish the Karate Kid. It taught perseverance, mentorship, standing up for what's right. What does your show teach? How to be cruel for laughs. The audience was silent, some covering their mouths, others looking shell-shocked. Please, Colbert scoffed, voice weaker. The Karate Kid was a B-movie with delusions of grandeur. It's successful marketing, not art. You've confused nostalgia with importance. And you've confused cynicism with intelligence. Ralph fired back. You think tearing people down makes you smart, but it shows how empty you are. The Karate Kid was honest, hopeful. Your show comes from anger, resentment, the need to seem cleverer than everyone. Colbert's face reddened, veins bulging. You want to psychoanalyze me, Ralph. You're terrified that without the Karate Kid, you're nobody. See you. Keep milking it, too scared to find out who you really are. At least I know who I am, Ralph replied, voice quieter, heavier, a man who's lived with dignity, raised a family, treated people kindly. What are you selling, Stephen? Manufacturing every night. I'm selling truth, Colbert snapped, honesty in a world full of people like you who think mediocrity is excellence, that's showing up as succeeding. Truth. Ralph laughed, no humor in it. You wouldn't recognize truth if it introduced itself. You've hidden behind personas so long. You've forgotten how to be real. At least I know Daniel LaRusso's a character. You've been playing Stephen Colbert so long, you don't know who you are. The insult landed like a bomb, Colbert's hands shaking, rage or fear unclear. Crew members signaled frantically, debating a cut to commercial. How dare you? Colbert whispered, voice threatening, come onto my show, in front of my audience, and tear apart what I've built. I understand what it takes to be decent, Ralph replied, matching his quiet tone, and you're failing that test, spectacularly. This audience sees you destroying your reputation. For what? To feel better about whatever's eating you. Nothing's eating me, Colbert said, voice cracking. I'm doing my job, asking questions that need asking. No, Stephen, Ralph said, shaking his head, you're having a breakdown on live TV, trying to take me down with you. I won't let that happen. I've worked too hard to let your issues ruin what I've built. The studio felt like a pressure cooker, both men breathing heavily, faces flushed. Your legacy, Ralph, Colbert whispered menacingly, will be this moment. People will remember you showing what you're made of. You're right, Ralph said, looking at the camera. People will remember this, how a host ambushed a guest, attacked his career, abused his platform, but they'll also remember I stood up, didn't back down, treated you with more dignity than you deserved. The stare-down felt eternal, the audience frozen, crew paralyzed, America watching two icons clash. Then Colbert broke, his composure shattering. You're right, Ralph, he said, voice trembling, I'm having a breakdown. I'm tired of pretending people like you matter, of booking guests who contribute nothing but their presence, of this whole charade. Ralph stepped back, stunned by the shift. Stephen, what are you talking about? I'm talking about entertaining people who'd rather watch recycled garbage than think, Colbert continued, words spilling out. A culture that celebrates mediocrity, calls it heartwarming, actors like you praised for the bare minimum while real artists struggle. The studio was silent, Colbert's breathing ragged, crew transfixed by the meltdown. Stephen, Ralph said, anger giving way to concern, take a breath, this isn't about me, it's about something personal with you. Don't psychoanalyze me, Colbert snapped, but he sounded exhausted. You think playing a character who learned life lessons qualifies you to give advice, that millions watching your movie means you understand struggle. I understand pain, Ralph replied softly, and you're in pain, Stephen, this attack isn't about the Karate Kid, it's something else. Colbert laughed, almost a sob. It's about waking up every day, pretending to care about gossip, scandals, when I want conversations that matter. Actors like you get celebrated for recycling stories while real voices are ignored. Then why not have those conversations? Ralph asked, stepping closer. You have a platform, an audience, use it for what you care about. Because that's not what sells, Colbert whispered. People want comfort food, familiar faces, the Karate Kid, not tough questions about the world. The admission hung between them, raw and honest. The audience sensed the shift, tension easing into something intimate. So you took it out on me? Ralph asked, tone gentle, not accusing. I took it out on what you represent, Colbert said, slumping into his chair, the safe choice, easy nostalgia, refusing to grow or challenge. That's not fair to me, Ralph said, sitting too. You don't know my struggles, my choices, you attacked a version of me you created, not the man in front of you. Colbert looked at Ralph, eyes red-rimmed. You're right, he said, voice breaking, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have taken it out on you. Ralph stood slowly, face a mix of confusion, disappointment, anger. You know what, Stephen? People will remember this interview, not for your reasons, but because you had a chance to connect, to have the real talk you claim to want, and you chose to attack instead. He walked to the stage's edge, then turned back. Good luck with your show, I hope you figure out who you want to be up there. With that, Ralph Macchio walked off the Late Show, leaving a stunned silence. Colbert stared after him, face unreadable, cameras rolling until cutting to commercial. In 30 minutes, two careers shifted, America witnessing a raw, tragic clash over fame, authenticity, and the masks we wear. What did you think of this unforgettable showdown? Did Colbert cross the line, or was this the raw honesty we need in interviews? Subscribe for more shocking Hollywood stories, and share in the comments which side you're on in this epic clash.